Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 266, a stacked card, 2 title fights. We're getting into it. It is going to be Alex Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. We're going to break that fight down. That is actually the client play, and we're giving that out for free today. So definitely subscribe, like, comment, all those great things. Always appreciate everybody that supports the channel, and as well as we try to keep going out there and giving you guys winners. So we're going to be talking UFC 266, and I'm also going to be talking about a KO prop that I love. It's a nice plus money play that I think is a little bit under the radar, and I think worth placing a wager on. And as well as we're going to talk about the fate of the card, and that's going to be a fighter that I think you're probably putting in your parlay. So we're going to break all that stuff down here today on the show, but why don't we just get right into it? We're going to talk main event UFC 266, and that is between Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega. This is going to be a fun one. Just as a stylistic standpoint, I think betting-wise, I do like a side, and I am making that a client play. I am giving that out to clients. But we're going to break this down for you here. So what we like to always do, break down. I want to go a little bit quicker. I always say that, and then I feel like I just kind of keep going and talking and rambling. But we're going to go over 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we're going to first talk Alexander Volkanovski, the champ. And so, real quickly, 3 fights ago, he fought Jose Aldo. Now, this, I thought, was really a turning point for me in believing what Volkanovski could do. Because this is a fight, I believe I faded this fight. I believe I wasn't sure what side I wanted. And just Aldo, hey, can Aldo really go out there and just school this guy? And I was really impressed by how Volkanovski really kind of pieced everything together. He was very patient. He didn't, explode and just kind of get out of position. And he just really, and again, Aldo looked a little timid, but was that Aldo or was that Volkanovski, kind of giving out, different looks, really unable for Aldo to kind of get into a rhythm? I mean, it was a sweeping decision. It was great showing there. He utilized the leg kicks against a leg kicker like Aldo. He was utilizing the leg kicks, out leg kicking him, forcing out nice shots. And you even heard in the broadcast, Joe Rogan and them saying, wow, this is just all Volkanovski. So I thought that was an extremely impressive performance for him, going out there, walking him down, landing the shots, getting the victory. Toe-to-toe, if you stand toe-to-toe and you're able to outstrike Aldo in that, I really got to give you, a lot of respect. We're going out there and getting the job done in that way. Now, 2 fights ago, and back-to-back, and gonna try to go through these quick, was Max Holloway. Now, this was a fantastic fight, the first one. Now, you've got somebody like Max Holloway who is, obviously the kingpin, the elite when it comes to this division with his striking, the output he puts out, just the versatile striking that he has. He's well-rounded, the cardio. I mean, he really has it all. And in this first fight here, I was, again, very impressed by the way that Volkanovski kind of worked from the outside and then continued to work and keep pushing forward against Max Holloway. Now, early in this, again, you did see, and he's absolutely going to be using on Saturday night, is those leg kicks. He went out there, fired a lot of leg kicks, mixed it up, and I think that really started to, show that he's able to go out there and push forward and not be scared, because I think a lot of people against Max were, I think more overwhelmed with that volume. He kind of stood in the pocket, he kept pushing forward, and this was a fight here where I know, again, now, you get a lot of people, some people say, hey, the fight was pretty close. Some people say, I think it was 48-47, 48-47, then somebody had it 50-45. I mean, I would honestly, and going back and watch it, it's, easily 3 to 4 rounds. I would say 4 were Volkanovski in this fight. I just thought it was a great showing from him here to show that he can go in there and go toe-to-toe with Max Holloway. And then he fought him again the second time around. And this fight was much closer. I mean, there's no doubt it was much closer. I mean, this was one in the 3rd round. You heard Bisping kind of talking about, Max is up 3-0, probably he's up 3-0. I had it close. It was another one. You could see a couple close rounds. I would still give it to Volkanovski, and I don't know, some people are going to hate that, but I'd still give it to Volkanovski. I thought it was a great showing for him. I don't think that Max did enough in certain spots early. I think it was early in that fight. He rocked him a couple times, and even when he rocked him, I thought that Volkanovski was looking great in those rounds. He was doing pretty well, and then he got rocked, and obviously then you got to give that to Max, but overall, consistently, it was just a lot of volume. It was a lot of outstriking Max Holloway, really consistent with his striking. There he goes out there, and he gets the decision victory again, split decision against Max Holloway. Now, on the other side, Brian Ortega fought Frankie Edgar 3 fights ago. This was one we don't really have to break down as well either, just because it was a quick show. It was a quick showing for Brian Ortega. He went out there, landed some big shots, walked him down. I think Frankie not really able to utilize his wrestling possibly in there, where obviously the jiu-jitsu game of Ortega is on an elite level. I think that threw him off a little bit there too. But this was kind of the demise of Frankie Edgar. This was kind of the end of his career. You even look back, this was where he started to have a lot of losses. Again, he's fought the top-level guys and losing to some top-level guys, but he has lost in some brutal fashions. I mean, even most recently against Corey Sandhagen. I mean, you know, and then even the only real win that he's had was against Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz was that fight, I would say, actually, I think Pedro won that fight. So, you know, they kind of gave that one to Frankie. So, this knockout here, I don't think says too much. Great showing. He did what he's supposed to do, and he's supposed to go out there and dominate against Frankie Edgar. He does that. 2 fights ago, he also fought Max Holloway. Max Holloway goes out there and literally beats the living shit out of Brian Ortega until I think it was the 4th round where it was a doctor stoppage. I mean, there was a point where this was just a pure clinic. Ortega looked lost, and I think this is really what forced Ortega knowing, I got to get better at striking. I gotta clean this up. And you could tell he's been, you know, elevating each fight, you know, looking a little more comfortable, you know, not as awkward, you know, the movements and kind of the combinations that he had. And then this was a spot here where he just got his ass kicked. And it was a doctor stoppage. You know, this was one where it was just a landslide for Max. Max was almost out there, you know, teasing him, you know, because it was just too much. It was just almost like he felt bad for Ortega. And Ortega's tough as nails. He took a lot of shots, kept moving forward, and they had to literally call it when half of his face was falling off his, you know, off his head there. So on the last fight there, we fought Korean Zombie. This looked like a whole new Brian Ortega. I gotta say that. He looked fantastic out there. Landed some nice shots. Looked real smooth in the flow state, kind of moving around comfortably, throwing a jab, front kicks, throwing a spinning elbow that landed. And I thought that was, you know, it's kind of hard to say because you gotta give credit to Brian Ortega in this spot. He went out there. He looked fantastic. But what I just didn't like was what really was coming from Zombie. I thought Zombie looked flat, uninterested, unmotivated. I mean, he just looked like he was out of it. I mean, you know, and again, Zombie's a little bit on the, you know, he's the kind of guy where he's more plodding, going forward, having that, but he didn't really have that in this fight. I thought he kind of looked a little bit off there, but again, that could be credit to Brian Ortega, but either way, he goes out there and gets the victory against the Korean Zombie. And I think that was another 50-45 sweeping decision for him there. So with that being said, you've got obviously on the one side, you got Volkanovski. He is, you know, well-rounded guy, you know, on his feet. He's got power leg kicks. He mixes it up well, versatile striking, you know, will throw big combinations, has heavy hands, not known for much of the knockout, but you could just see he just has that big power when he lands the big shots compared to some other guys that he's faced, even against Max Holloway, the pitter-patter shots, but the heavy volume. You've got the power advantage going to Volkanovski, gonna probably pile up more damage. On the other side, you've got Ortega, elite level jiu-jitsu guy. I mean, you know, he's top tier when it comes to submission, ability in general, and you're seeing him start to evolve. You're seeing him start to get better in the striking realm here. And again, he's a young guy, 15-1, a young guy in the sport, and you could tell that he's definitely making improvements. Now, the first thing I have to just get to, and I kind of glazed over here, is I don't do MMA math. I don't do this guy fought this guy and this fucking guy fought. I don't do that. But you have to put some validity into, you got to just get something in there when you take a look at a guy who fought arguably, you know, the GOAT of the division, Max Holloway, and beats him twice. And the first one really was I thought was just a clear one-sided beating. And then the second one, close, did get the victory, but close. You look at what happened with Brian Ortega. I mean, the guy got the shit kicked out of him for 4 rounds and hardly landed anything. Now, again, you can't say, okay, well, that just means that Volkanovski wins. Of course that's not what that means, but that has to be part of this because he looked so bad. If they both had pretty close fights, okay, you can kind of push it aside, but the fact that it was just another level of a beating compared to a good win, a solid win over Max Holloway, and a close fight that you got the win. To me, that has to be part of it there. The caliber, also what he did with Aldo standing. Aldo standing compared to somebody like Zombie. Zombie's good, but again, beating him over 3 rounds, pretty easily, I would say. Volkanovski was very comfortable, pretty easily all 3 judges won all 3 rounds. But also, it's really a death by accumulation when it comes to Volkanovski. He's got the power, but he's the kind of guy that he's willing to invest in his shots. And I think that is going to be a very important part of his game plan because you've got Brian Ortega there. Again, he does not want to be on the ground with Brian at any point in this fight. But it's going to be a lot of those leg kicks again. And I know that's, I'm not telling you something you don't know there because obviously that's going to be a weapon. But I think those tree trunks that Volkanovski fires around and lands, it's not going to take much for him to all of a sudden start limping. It's not able to move as smooth. He's going to be doing that. He has fought just recently again, another nice 5-round fight for him. I think this is where he's going to be landing. He mixes it up. Once he starts worrying about those legs, that's where you're going to start to see the heavy body shots, the head shots, the mixing it up with Volkanovski. He has looked sensational, really, since he has, popped onto the scene with the UFC. I really like what he's going to do in the combinations when they're standing. The other part of this is you've got the reach advantage now. You got the reach advantage, which, again, that's not an all-be-all, but you got a 2.5-inch reach advantage roughly for Volkanovski, but he's going to be shorter. And that really has shown to be problematic when a fighter who, normally who may be long and lanky, someone like Ortega, who's a little bit longer, we're talking about height as well, and you're fighting a guy who's shorter but yet can get to you. Sometimes that could throw fighters off. And that also could be what's going on with Max Holloway, the way Max Holloway fought him. It's just a different look. It's a different kind of fighter, and it's definitely shown to be very different when you're talking about angles and how you're going to cut off the cage and when you're in range, the difference compared to other fighters. That also is a big part. But a very big part of this is also going to be the takedown part of this. Now, Ortega is not known for his takedowns. He's not known for it. And he's like, you look at statistically, he has a 21% success takedown rate. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. When you're talking about a guy who his best weapon is on the ground. That's his best weapon that he has is on the ground, and he hardly can get it there. He's trying to get a little better at it. He showed it even with Zombie, but again, it's not part of his game. It's not really part of his game. And here's side of that, you've got someone like Volkanovski who has a 72% takedown defense rate. That's pretty damn good. So mixing those things together, this feels like an absolute stand-up match. Could Ortega seek that quick takedown and get the takedown? I think that's possible. But I don't really see that Volkanovski a kind of guy that's just going to be left on the ground. And I think he's going to be smart enough, he's well-rounded enough. And also, we're back at the bigger cage. I think that actually really helps Volkanovski kind of stay on the outside, keep moving around, not being able to worry about being pushed up against the fence. And that's where maybe Ortega could latch onto a limb and look for the finish. So in a standing bout, in a bout that probably will be standing the entire fight, that it lasts, I gotta go Volkanovski here. I mean, I just don't see, it's at minus 160. I just don't see a spot where really Ortega can have success. I mean, I get it. I get it. He has looked great, against the Zombie. Now that's real. I mean, pretty much that's all we're saying. In a spot, standing, striking. We're not talking about Cub Swanson. We're not talking about some of these other guys here. A Frankie Edgar heading to retirement. We're talking about a guy who is just dominating some of these elite level guys in the division. And now we're talking about Ortega winning a standing bout. I just don't see it. That's what made me elevate this to a client play. Wanted to talk about it on the show, but I can't get away from it. I think Volkanovski has the ability to just beat the piss out of him for, the first few rounds, and then until maybe Ortega just can't take it, maybe a finish later in the fight. But I just think that, Ortega's tough, so he could last, but I just see this being a very one-sided fight. I think Volkanovski could go out there, land big shots, death by accumulation, chip away with the leg kicks. I like him to go out there and get this victory. So as a client play, And as my play here on the show is going to be Alexander Volkanovski to get the victory at -160. Now we're going to be talking about the KO prop of the card. We've got Chris Daukaus versus Shamil Abdurakhimov, if I said that correctly. So Abdurakhimov versus Daukaus. This is a spot here where I just had to put a little bit of sprinkle on this prop here. We're going to go over here. I like Chris Daukaus here to go out there and get this knockout. You've got the price here. You've got, Daukaus is starting to get to, -210. He was at -180 early. I missed that line. I probably would have bet it maybe straight. It was a little bit less than that. But at this point here, looking at it deeper, and the things I'm going to go over real quickly for you here, I like this knockout. I think a knockout is a high probability. The knockout is +130. You're getting off the -2 and change number. I really like this spot here. And for multiple reasons, there are red flags on Shamil. Taking a look at it, he hasn't fought in 2 years to start. So he hasn't fought in 2 years, and obviously that can be problematic. That can be an issue. Timing and these things. Is he training? There's been cancellations. He has had some cancellations, so maybe he's been training. But is there ring rust? What kind of ring rust is it? How hard has he been training? And then you add in the fact that he's 40. So this is a guy that hasn't been in title contention in a very long time. Not a guy that has been this big name that's going to be getting these big paychecks. So you've got a guy that's been kind of not really in. I think he actually even had some kind of break in between one of his last 2 fights or whatever it was, where there was a break there as well. So, is he, half retired? Is he really mentally prepared for this? That, against Daukaus, who, again, a win or a loss means absolutely pretty much nothing to this guy, where he's probably going back to retirement and not going to be fighting. If he gets knocked out here, his career, I am positive, is probably over. So that's part of this here. But also the style at which Abdurakhimov fights. Now he fights, he's a wrestler. He likes to wrestle. This is going to be a grappling situation here. But when you're looking at that, that's not actually a good thing for where he is in his career. He's 40 years old. Can he really grapple and wrestle and seek those takedowns against Daukaus? Could he really pull him down and do, maybe early he could really push for that, but I just don't think over the course of the fight he's gonna have that same push. We're not sure about Daukaus. Daukaus has been a KO kind of guy, so he's, not sure, can he go deep? Do things change for him there? But Daukaus is also very capable on the ground. People really forget that he actually has grappling credentials. He's actually pretty good, and he's even shown against Oleinik that he can, Oleinik had a good, nice opportunity to get a takedown. He kind of fended it away very nicely. There were, he's looked good, and then he's able to counter with big shots he's landed here. I think that's important. And then he could, once defending these takedowns, it's going to be a stand-up bout. You look even the fact that most recently with Oleinik was the fact that he actually just kind of trained for the same guy. I mean, Oleinik and Shamil are kind of the same guy. They're these older guys that, they're going to look to grapple, but, their chin could be iffy. This is the same kind of fight. So I see this as the same type of fight here, where you're going to have an opportunity where it's going to be very similar to the Oleinik fight. It's going to be early push for the takedowns, and then Daukaus has the power to end this fight at any point. You also sprinkle in the fact that Daukaus has 11 professional fights, 10 of which have ended by knockout. I just think this is a great opportunity here, and this is set up with a bow on top of it for Daukaus to go out there, land the big shot, get another knockout on his highlight reel, and start moving this guy up the ranks. I like the plus money here at +130. I will be taking Chris Daukaus via knockout. And the fade of the night. Now, like I said, this is not going to be, I'm not betting the other side. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll sprinkle something. But this is really just a buyer beware. Pay attention to this one, because I hear a lot of people saying, hey, I'm putting this in a parlay, I'm putting this in a parlay. And people are putting Merab in parlays. And now listen, I think he's got a great chance of going out there and getting this victory against Marlon Moraes. I really think he's got a chance. I mean, he's a heck of a guy. Heck of a grappler. He's got the ability, he's got the cardio, he's got a lot of the things that Moraes doesn't have, and he's gonna chain wrestle and just smother him until Moraes in that second round doesn't have enough energy and he's looking for the submission, or just win over 3 rounds and get the decision. With that being said, I just got to fade Merab completely in this situation here, and we're going to go over a couple things here. Obviously, the big part of this is going to be, Moraes is 1-3 out of his last 4, but you got to remember though also is that Moraes fought Rob Font, who actually has pretty good grappling, who actually has good, a lot of people just think he's a boxer, has good grappling, good range. Overall, he can defend the takedowns. He can look for the takedowns, and then he could land the shots on top of that. You've got Corey Sandhagen, same kind of thing. Very well-rounded, lanky, rangy, can utilize some takedowns as well as he can strike. Those are a lot of things to worry about, especially even with Cejudo. Cejudo's got the grappling, could look for the takedowns, get the takedown, and he actually is shown to be a pretty good striker actually at the end of all of this. And he ended up beating Aldo in that spot here. To me, these are opponents that are well-rounded, that can look for the takedown, can mix it up, can stand and strike, and can do a lot of things. Merab on the other side is really a one-trick pony, but that one trick is one that could possibly take him to a title shot at some point. He has that ability. Of course, he's that Khabib kind of guy where he's looking to go in there, cut distance, get on top of you, and really hurt you. But the one thing that we saw Khabib early in his career was he had absolutely terrible striking. He really just, there were so many memes and clips of him kind of swinging wildly because he wasn't sure to cut that distance. And then he just got elite at pretty much, mixing everything together, and then his hands actually got pretty good, and he started showing a lot more. Merab is at that point where he just hasn't put it fully together with the striking. And that's what really worries me here in this spot for anybody that's backing him, because, you've got Marlon Moraes, who is just as much as Merab is worlds apart from Moraes on the ground, Moraes is worlds apart from Merab standing. And this is a spot here where that first round could be really, really, scary for anyone backing him with just how explosive Moraes is, just how explosive he is, how much he comes forward, the power behind it. He's the kind of guy where you just need one, and you've seen Merab, he is very, very hittable. He really focuses on, going for that takedown. He's willing to kind of take a shot to kind of just get you, because he does not care. He knows once he's got his hands on you, that you're in trouble. He's got a good chance of taking you down and kind of holding you down for the rest of the round. So he's willing to take those shots. But again, a bigger cage, this could help Marlon Moraes circle a little bit more and look for the big shot. And again, it's not going to take much. He starts throwing a couple leg kicks, a body kick, a head kick, wherever it may be. He lands one of those. That's going to really, really start to wear on Merab. And so I think in those spots there, he has the opportunity where Merab makes mistakes when he's standing. He really makes mistakes. He's not as smooth transitioning and level changing. He's getting better. We've seen him get better, but we've seen some of his past fights. It's been a little bit iffy, and this is a high-level striker. And of course, the cardio, he can work him and get that cardio and start slowing Moraes down. But I think that's going to be a big decision where, how is he going to work that? Plus, again, the cage size, I think, is going to help him as well. And lastly, I think that, Moraes actually has a good guillotine. He's actually got a pretty good one. So there's going to be opportunities where Merab is going to have his head low. Can he find that choke? Can he have that? So that's going to be a big counter for him if he's seeking it. So I like just staying away from this fight here. I really think that there's just, I don't like Merab in any of my parlays. Again, could he go out there and dominate? Absolutely. But I think the price is way too high. You're talking, I think it was -300 in some of these books we're seeing. Way too high, and I think this should be actually close. And again, that first round could be crazy. But you're looking at, if you want to go the other side, you're looking to sprinkle, which I'm thinking about sprinkling. Marlon via KO is +600. But Marlon via KO round 1 is +950, which one of those, I may throw a little something on it, half a unit, something like that, just to kind of have some exposure on it, because I really think that he could land the one big shot and it could possibly be over. So that's a buyer beware. Stay away. If not, and he wins and he cash, congratulations. But there you have it for UFC 266. That's it, man. That's it. Let's see how we do. Again, wagertalk.com, link in the description. Most plays I've ever released on one card. Have it at a discount. Definitely take a look at it. I am excited to see how this all goes, and we will see you on the next one. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.